everyone here tonight. Our special guest for this evening is Senator Unrsula Stephens, and we welcome her and thank you for making the trip to Tamworth. Thank you. And of course, a big welcome to our candidate, Steve Hewitt. And I'm sure Unrsula and Stephen will tell you a bit more about Stephen. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone's probably filled it out. We have volunteer forms. If anyone's able to help out during pre-polling or election day, please put your details down. I think I've got everyone's details here anyway. That's it. Yeah, all right. Well, how about I welcome Unrsula Stephens to say a few words.
Okay, well thank you very much for inviting me. One of the lovely things being able to actually get out to the country and to meet really true believers and to catch up with old friends, which is always gorgeous. And but no, seriously, we've done a lot of country labour work together over the last 25 years. And so, you know, you come to a place like Tamworth where everyone knows that Barnaby's just out there assuming that, you know, he's taking the mantle of the member position. And what we have to remember is that there are a lot of people who don't like Barnaby. There are a lot of people who didn't like what Tony Lindsay did, so they're quite happy to support Barnaby. But there are still people, like you and me, who want to have a choice. So it's a really tough gig when someone puts their hand up, steps up, and will nominate in Tiger Country. And you know, when you live in an electorate where we've never had a Labor member, like I do, I live in Golden, we've never had a Labor member stay with us in all the time I've been in the party. But we have to just get out there and campaign. So I know you would all be as distressed as I am about what's been going on in New South Wales Labor. It's kind of like a parallel universe. Never in our wildest dreams would any of us have a sense of that stuff that was going on. It is like sliding doors, I think. But that's what makes tonight so important, because we've got something very special and quite unique in Stephen as our candidate. We've got someone who's not a party apparatchik. He's a local, he's homegrown, he's honest, works with his hands, a builder, you know, in terms of shaping things, huge commitment to social justice. His own life experience is being touched by those issues in real and genuine ways. And so what we have is someone who's really upholding the Labor ideals. And, you know, aren't we lucky that we can find a candidate? I know that you've been in this situation, and Josephine, this is no disrespect at all, but we were in the situation in the last election, in the last state election, and we got a young Labor candidate from Sydney who I don't think had ever been outside of the metropolitan area. She was frightened of driving in the dark in the bush. So it's pretty hard to kind of put that candidate out there and support them. But we've got someone who really does understand the bush. Been away, life circumstances are like that, but it enriches you, and then has come back to the place that he calls home now. So it's really fantastic, Stephen, that you've stepped up and that you've come home, I suppose. That's what most of us do in our older age. We come back to where things were best placed.
I'm not bad.
But seriously, and to come and to know that you're up against Barnaby, you know, so famous that you don't even need to use a second name, like Bono. But what you are doing is giving people real choice, and we do support you and actually honour you for doing that, because otherwise people would take it for granted. The other important reason why I'm supporting Steve, of course, is because I'm on the ticket too. The Senate ticket is just as important. I'm number 3 on the Senate ticket, and I would have to have said, you know, 3 months ago, the polling was so bad, the primary vote was so bad in New South Wales that we would have been struggling to get Dudley's quota. as number 2 on the ticket. But that's all changed. There is an amazing sense of renewal and energy. The new way of thinking about things and doing things means we don't have political apparatchiks from the Graduate School of Politics. We are finding grassroots candidates again that we know do best work. And it's a lift, it's a huge lift in morale of our membership. We've got massive returns of people who just walked away from the party in droves, which is so fantastic. And we are using really fabulous campaigning tools that are actually kind of defining niche groups of voters in really quite sophisticated ways that we've never used before. So a lot about this election is going to be suddenly Tony Abbott is the tired old man and Kevin Rudd is the nerdy kind of hip chick. Well, hip bloke, but you know what I mean? Suddenly it's a huge game changer. Please don't underestimate that. It is really, really huge. So in coming to launch the campaign tonight in New England, I want to say, first of all, thank you to all of you for being true leaders, for being actually the stalwarts that the party really relies on. And so many of you are old friends. It's kind of just like we've all stuck like glue through some of the dimmest, darkest times. And it's great to see young people here as well, enthused and engaged in this great agenda that's in the future and interested again in the future. So with that, can I say, Stephen, good luck. Whatever I can do to help, I will help. Doug sends his best wishes. He's sorry he wasn't able to be here to launch your campaign for you. Now that he's a Parliamentary Secretary for Housing and Homelessness, of course, this is Homelessness Week, and he's all over the country speaking and trying to advocate for a better policy on homeless agenda. So he does send you his best wishes. He has said he will support you. I don't know how he will support you, but he has said he will support you. I think he has the idea that he'd like to be part of something that kind of takes the wind out of market sales. So we do want to be here for you in whatever way we can, and I want to congratulate you for stepping up and putting yourself out there and formally launch your campaign. So there you go. Stephen to tell us a little bit about himself and why he's nominated as a candidate.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the introduction, first one. Well, yes. Well, it all started back in 1966 in Unrsula Hospital, where I was born. And I was the fourth son of Peter and Mavis Hewitt. So I grew up in Taylor Street in Armidale and went to St Mary's Catholic Primary School and then on to O'Connor for year 7 and part of year 8. In the process of that, unfortunately my parents' marriage fell apart, and then Mum, having 5 children to look after, decided she'd take herself off to university. And after completing a 4-year degree, or 3-year degree plus a diploma in social science, I think it was, she applied for lots and lots of jobs but couldn't find anything in Armidale. So we promptly moved to Sydney, where she joined the Department of Corrective Services in New South Wales as a probation parole officer. Finished my schooling there at Marist Brothers Dundas, and then year 11 and 12 at Cumberland State High School. Then basically just fell into work, construction mainly. Joined the union movement after joining a national painting company, which were rather hard taskmasters, so the union helped me there. And then moving on from that, fell in love, and this lass then promptly found a job in Canberra. So of course I dutifully followed. And luckily at the time the company I was with actually had an opening in their Canberra branch. And then lo and behold, 12 months later, a lovely daughter was born, named Hannah. And unfortunately, my family's track record in marriage isn't good. So of course that promptly fell apart, and then had to move away back to Sydney to recuperate, a bit of R&R. And then joined another national company at the time, and same again. It required to be a union member because of the antics that this particular employer used to get up to. And eventually, with the help of the CFMEU, well, originally it was the FEDFA, which then turned into the super union called the FEDFA. Sorry, the CFMEU, and they helped me out in a very good way back in 1991 to actually resolve a lot of pay and condition issues whilst I was being employed by this national company. So, whilst back in Sydney, recovering from the marriage, some terrible news came through that in 1998 that my mother had been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. That she'd recently moved from Sydney to Port Macquarie, God's country. Shame I'm not in that order. But I'm back home in New England now, and to be closer with family and friends. So, what did I get to here? What's my train of thought? So, Port Macquarie. So, having heard or been given the distressing news of my mother's illness, I promptly went and bought a Land Cruiser to cheer myself up. So, anyway, I moved to Port Macquarie briefly to help Mum through her first round of chemotherapy, and thankfully she got through that reasonably well, and survived many years after that. But unfortunately, it came back with a vengeance, and got her eventually in 2002. Very distressing time. But in the meantime, before that happened, I decided to, after helping Mum out, I visited Armadale to visit my favourite brother Philip, and he promptly offered me a job. So I thought, well, I'll stay. Closer to Mum, and unfortunately, the work situation at the time wasn't particularly constant. So in the end, he couldn't employ me anymore, so I decided to move back closer to my daughter in Canberra, which I did. And then after Mum's death, I found myself without a job because I tossed it in to go and watch her die in hospital. And then basically fell into handyman work for the last 11 years. So then my daughter obviously finished her education including a uni degree, and then promptly up and left and found a job in Sydney. And the deal we had with one another was that I was always going to move back to Armadale because her intention was never to stay in Canberra. But with the job she has now, with promotion, she'll end up back there anyway, whether she likes it or not. So yeah, that's pretty well it. And the final word on my actually choosing to nominate myself was the news that Tony Windsor had decided to retire, and then that Barnaby Joyce was the second choice for the Nationals due to Richard Torbay's shenanigans. On the drive up here, literally the Sunday before last, I was thinking to myself, I don't know who the Labor candidate is. I want to know who that person is because I'm definitely going to vote Labor. I've always voted Labor. And lo and behold, it's me. Because my auntie, my dear aunt, Mum's sister that lives in Uralla, basically said, we're having trouble fielding a candidate, would you be interested? Went to my brother's shed, which I'm currently staying in, which doesn't sound as bad as it is, because it's Josephine has actually seen the shed. It's quite big. And so I thought about it that night, and of course rang Auntie Robin and said, yes, I'm up for it. Even though a novice, I've been a keen follower of especially federal politics from an early age, coming from a Labor Catholic background. My grandmother, Anita Tribe, was a big supporter of the party for many years and a member as well of the Armadale branch. So my roots are strongly in traditional Labor and the union movement. So there we go. So, on to you. So basically, I want to sell the party and sell the party's benefits that have helped and will continue to help the New England region. So for the last 6 years of Labor government, there's been a 14% increase in the size of the economy. Almost 1 million jobs, almost 950,000 jobs, almost 1 million jobs. So this is pretty impressive stuff. So, the light's not so good. So recently there's been an ALP national. Anyway, this study, this ALP study, talks about, released in May, that the average family is $224 better off per week than in 1984. And low-income families or households are $93 a week better off. So this coalition added and Joyce conspiracy that somehow the economy is not doing well and that cost of living pressures are skyrocketing is just a fallacy. It's a furphy. The coalition with Barnaby Joyce has constantly, not only for the last 3 years, but the last 6 years, talked down the economy, constantly bagging ALP policy, ALP initiatives. So the infrastructure programs that the Labor government in the last 6 years has been absolutely phenomenal. $8 billion just in health and community service funding alone, not to mention funding the schools and roadworks, and even the University of New England has benefited from the rural medical clinic or school, I should say that. So the region has prospered under Labor, well and truly. And my fear is that with the coalition win, which is a vote for Barnaby Joyce in this electorate, will mean that the National Party and the Liberal Party will abandon this, not only New England region, but any safe coalition seat. They'll just stop spending, because under John Howard, they basically spent nothing on infrastructure. Mr Abbott, as Health Minister, ripped $1 billion out of health in the time of the Howard years. So it's not a good scenario for this region or any region within Australia, because if the proposed cuts that the coalition are spouting is basically frontline services will suffer. Health, education and social services will suffer. So it's not good at all. Not good at all. And this is where I think I truly believe I have an outside chance. Now that Tony Windsor has gone, basically the slate has been wiped clean. So it's really, we all start from zero. And I know Barnaby's machine is going to be big and hard to fight. I think in the FAC meeting recently, the staggering sum of $100,000 was thrown around. I mean, that is just mind-blowing. So he's trying to buy his way into this election, not with policy, not with any substance. He's just trying to further his political career. So I really do think I have the best possible chance, or Labor has the best possible chance, since time immemorial, because no Labor candidate has ever come close in this election. So I could ramble on about interest rates and how great that is, because in fact I was fielded a question by a print media recently saying, what can you do for business in this part of for Inverell specifically. And I said, well, interest rates, record lows, helping families, helping small businesses. I'm a self-employed person. When interest rates go down, I cheer. I'd march myself up to my local club and have a beer to celebrate. Thinking, great. My interest rates going down, my repayments are going down. If I maintain my own current payments, I pay off my debt faster. Same as any small business. It's good for everyone. And yet Mr. Hockey seems to believe that it's somehow bad for the economy. It's just bad because interest rates are dropping. I don't know anyone in this room or otherwise throughout the country who think that that's a bad thing. So, well, and also the other reforms like disability services, an amazing feat. It's been talked about for decades, and finally, a Labor government is going to implement. Just fantastic stuff. Well and truly overdue. With same again, that will help the New England electorate because these disabled services are required throughout, not just cities, but all regional and rural areas. More jobs, better for the economy, and even though the forecasts are not looking so rosy after the downturn in the Chinese resources boom, but we are still in a good position, with a AAA credit rating, which is only 8 other countries in the world whole. So we must stay with Labor in order for Australia to keep prospering. We cannot have a coalition government with Barnaby basically turning down the heat or turning off the heat completely. That will just drag us into a long and protracted recession. So finally, I'm also concerned about 457 visas and the huge increase since its inception in the Howard years to just over 5,500 to now currently at 126,000. I'm sure there has to be room to move to stop these employers thwarting these laws. Because basically with unemployment at record lows, or almost record lows, and coming into a difficult economic time, they are forecasting increased unemployment. So we need to look at this problem and look at it seriously and stop these bogus, semi-skilled 4-5 visitor workers when these jobs could be possibly filled by Australian workers. Sorry? And then finally, with some good local issues, like I think we should really consider pushing through the wind farm that's been proposed just north of Guyra, and possibly, I'm not sure, this might be, I forgot to run it past some locals, but the Sydney to Brisbane rail link. Because I know from where I've just come from, they've been talking for many years about a Sydney, Canberra, Melbourne fast rail link. So I think this infrastructure is well overdue and should be seriously considered. So then finally, in my final sum up, Labor, a new way for New England. Thank you. And did I mention drive a Land Cruiser?
These Land Cruisers
It was quite poignant. I thought about this joke last night because I did drive a Land Cruiser. And on the way into town, there's a big sign saying Land Cruiser country. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Steve and Unrsula. Now, one last thing, we'll just draw the raffle
Thank you.